Good evening and hello world, I'm Maya Sundermeyer, and I'm going to welcome you to the latest episode of my blog series. I mainly use my blogs to share my own experiences of what it's like for me to live on the autism spectrum, and for those of you that are subscribed to my channel, you know the drill about what I'm going to say. And in this one, I'm going to give my 2 cents as to what's going on with autism in the media and what's happened in our media. And when I say media, I'm going to talk about the cinema. And, I'm a huge movie fan, and I love Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. I think they're both brilliant actors. And I also love the director Steven Spielberg. And for those of you who may or may not know, they were in a movie together which Steven Spielberg had directed, and the movie came out in 1988, and the film, is known as Rain Man. And for those of you who know, that don't know, it's about an individual who is known to be a high-functioning autistic savant. And to give you a little bit more, Raymond, or Rain Man, who's played by Dustin Hoffman, is the individual on the autism spectrum, and he's living in an institution or a state hospital with other people with Down syndrome and other types of human detour systems. And he's also being kept safe and coddled by his own father, and his father put him in an institution when his younger brother was only 3 years old, and it was kept a secret from his younger brother Charlie, who's played by Cruz. So the autistic savant character is favored by his father, and he's also very, very smart. And he's also a savant. He knows how many toothpicks are going to be on the floor, for example. He can just pick out a number just like that. And I wanted to give my emphasis on it. Okay, the movie itself was not directed by anybody who's on the autism spectrum. So, unlike the movie Temple Grandin, where it was directed by people on the spectrum, they really did not pinpoint how Rain Man might have been thinking by showing us visually. And that's something that I wish that they would have done, but there is still a lot being discovered about people on the spectrum. And a second thing is that we can't put someone like this Rain Man into an institution and keep them down and keep them safe anymore, because that's against the law, and that's basically a form of segregation and discrimination. And thirdly, yes, he appeared to be into his own world. I mean, he could hold the conversation with his own brother, but I noticed something that could have been done. Had his father not have been holding him down or keeping him safe, and he would have been working with him and mentoring him, he might have turned out to be a lot different. He might have learned table manners. He might have learned how to use a fork, not use a toothpick. He might have learned how to politely greet his brother. He might have learned not to script any other time that he wanted. Now, for those of you who are learning about autism, scripting is a form of echolalia, meaning that if someone in the room says something, the individual on the spectrum will repeat absolutely everything. And in his case, scripting means that it means that you're watching a movie and you like it so much that you use the dialogue from the movie to communicate. That's called scripting, and it's also a form of echolalia. And what he was doing was he was often imitating not Laurel and Hardy, but Abbott and Costello's "You're on Second Base," or a what, who, why, where. And he did it when he was often nervous. Otherwise, they did a really good job of capturing, an autistic savant very clearly. I mean, they did a good job with the rocking. They did a good job with the meltdowns. They did a good job knowing how he thinks. I mean, they did a good job knowing how he thinks as far as picking up toothpicks. I mean, I take that part back. But they didn't really show us how he was thinking visually. Like, was he thinking in patterns? Was he thinking in pictures? Was he possibly thinking in fact-based or word-based. I mean, what? I would have liked to have known that. But bottom line is that, had this movie been written several years later, he would have not been living in that institution. He would have either been living in a group home, or he probably would have been living with a close family friend who knew how to take care of him and knew how to keep him down or keep him safe. But anyway, I wanted to give you my emphasis. So I watched that movie for the first time about a decade ago when I was only 20 years old, and I had just gotten out of high school, and I had been told many times that I was much lower functioning, that I was in my own world, that my IQ was low and it would never grow. And when I watched the movie Rain Man, it made me very angry because I got the impression that Rain Man was going to be about a savant autistic that was brilliant at math, and he was going on to be a college professor. And it wasn't about that. It was about an individual who is perceived to live in his own world and not pay attention to his surroundings around him. Instead, and it just made me mad. And my mind was, hey, that's not me. That's ridiculous. I'm like, is that what people think of me? So, I look at Rain Man now and I enjoy it because I could pinpoint how he sees things, and I can pinpoint why and how he acts that way. Was he really? Could he really act like that for the rest of his life, or did he need to be taught and exposed to absolutely new things, like Dr. Grandin was talking about? And I think if somebody would have been intervening with him while he was working at or living at that state hospital, or if he would have had his father or if his brother would have been told sooner, or his girlfriend, or somebody would have been intervening with Rain Man, and they would have been teaching him the basic manners and rules. And if they were exposing him to new things, and they were being direct with him without screaming no or looking at him like he's broken. What kind of a difference would someone have made in his life if his own father didn't look at him like he was different and then keep him down like that? So that's my side of it. And another thing that I have is that, there's a stereotype. Not everybody on the autism spectrum behaves like Dustin Hoffman's character. I, for one, I know I'm my own duck. I'm my own duck. I am definitely not Rain Man, and I don't sit and think about which planes crashed when to the point where I'm scared to fly. That's not me. I don't eat with toothpicks. I do like routines, but I don't have a problem with moving my bed to a certain spot when I'm away, and I don't mind traveling on the road. See, the problem again with Rain Man was that he was kept safe and kept down for so long that he was scared of the outside surrounding world. So he went into this own little shell, and he tried to protect himself by things that he knew. So, anyway, who in here has seen Rain Man? And what did you guys think? Did you like the movie? Did you hate it? And tell me why. And for those of you that are new to this channel, do not forget to subscribe. I'm Maya Sundermeyer, and I will see you next time.